Going live. We're live. We're live. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Comic Shop Talk Live. Brought to you by Black Hat Comics in Rockin' Milpitas, your one-stop shop for all things superhero. Shop online at black-cat-comics.com. We keep you connected to the comic book community. I'm your host, Mark Causey. This is a show about new comics, this week's comics, about things going on in the comic book world. It's an interactive program. Want to hear from you, want to know what you're reading, what you're looking forward to reading, what's at the top of your stack this week, what you might have liked last week, what you're looking forward to next week. Like I say, going to talk a little bit of this week's books, going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the world of comics. Always like to start with a little comic shop news. Comic shop news. Boy, what's going on in the world of comics? So, San Jose Con, been talking up San Jose Con. Find that on Facebook and on the interwebs. That's the next big local show. Very excited to see conventions coming back. Not a whole lot of big news. We're sort of in a wait and see and holding pattern in the big picture of, like I say, conventions and publishing announcements and all that kind of stuff. Usually the middle of summer is when all of that's happening with San Diego Comic-Con and things like that. Usually this is a time for big news, but not seeing a whole lot of announcements and things like that from the publishers. So like I say, this week don't have a whole lot in the way of comic shop news, except can we talk a little bit about Loki? And I don't want to get all spoily, but I do want to say that they dropped a name in the second episode, the name Ravonna. That name means a lot to me. Maybe it means a lot to you. That's my big comic shop news. Everybody's talking about this or that, but I was like, do you all not know who Ravonna is? Anyway, that's my little tidbit for the rest of you. Catch up if you're not caught up, because it's awesome. I guess in our little corner of the world here in Comic Shop, here in Black Hat Comics in Rockin' Milpitas, a couple of things. One, going to be launching the Kickstarter for the second issue of Black Cat Chronicles. If you don't have your first issue yet, get up on that. You can find that at black-cat-comics.com. Find it at black-cat-publishing.com. Pick up your comic with your prints and your stickers and whatnot, and get ready for the second issue. The second issue is super awesome. Working on that. Like I say, we're going to be launching the Kickstarter. So check that out, kickstarter.com. Thank you to everybody who participated in the first one. Look forward to getting the second one out. It's a ton of fun making comics. Making comics is almost as much fun as reading them. So let's see. Black Cat Chronicles. In-store appointments. The in-store appointments are booking up fast. If you want to get on down here to Rockin' Milpitas and spend half an hour hanging out with your friendly neighborhood comic book guy, go to black-cat-comics.com, click on In-Store Experience, and book the half-hour appointment that works for you, and let's chat. Like I say, they're filling up fast, and people really enjoy them. So, and I've been enjoying hanging out with each of you on that one-on-one time. So, those are new, fun, and exciting, and that's what's been big in the shop the last couple of weeks. So good on that. You know, as I said at the top, this is a show about this week's comics. So let's get to talking about some of this week's comics. Again, it's an interactive program. Throw me your questions, comments, concerns, queries, and conundrums, and I will do my best to tackle those while I get into this week's books. So, want to start with this one. This number 81, Nightwing, latest issue of Nightwing. This was the big hot book this week. This was the big thing everybody was after. So I'm not going to go too much into it, except that it ties in a little bit to what I said last week about the spec market thing, and it ties into a little bit of what I've been saying about every single time Nightwing comes out. Books that are fun to read with great art and great stories make great comics. And those are the books that people want. And those are the books that people want to buy. And I've been encouraging folks to read Nightwing all along. He's one of the best characters DC has. And the series has been really good. There's been, at every jump-in point, been a great time to jump into this book. Back at number 78 was your most recent jump-in point, and that issue was awesome. They've been selling out ever since. Why does that tie into my thing last week? I was encouraging folks to stay in your lane. You know, if you buy books you like, you will always have, you will end up with those valuable books. You will end up with those chase books. You will end up with those cool things if you buy what you like and you stay in your lane. Last week I was referring to the speculator folks, and again, have nothing against that. It's just a term that we use for folks who invest in comics that they buy, and I was encouraging those folks to stay in their lane and not spec on every single book that the internet tells you is hot or cool, but to buy things that you like and things that you think are cool. And this week, I'm telling the readers that exact same thing. And Nightwing is a great example of that. I like Nightwing, and so it's on my list, and I pick up every issue of Nightwing. So when one like this shows up and sells out and everybody wants it in this $20 book, hey, great. I've already got mine in my box. I'm paying cover price for it. I don't have to worry about the internet hubbub. I don't have to worry about whatever, because I know I love Nightwing. My comic book guy knows I love Nightwing, so my issue is secure. If you like what you read and you have a subscription, or at least have a regular shop and a regular comic book person, then like I say, you don't have to worry about the spec market. You don't have to worry about things selling out. You don't have to worry about that hot book. You don't have to worry about spending $20 on a book you just want to read. That book's already in your box and waiting for you. And so, like I say, if you like a book, if you really like a book, subscribe to it, and then make sure that book is in your box, because these days you never know what's going to turn out to be that book. And this week it was Nightwing 81, because it's the first appearance, new villain, all that kind of stuff. So why should you care? There will be a reprint if you already missed this one, but really that's not too spoilerific. Just fun stories, great art, great comics. Like I say, Nightwing is one of everybody's favorite DC characters, and this book is action-packed and character-driven and all those kind of things that you like to see in comics. So if you're not following Nightwing, grab the reprints to 78, 79, 80. Wait around for the second print to 81 if you can't dig one up somewhere, because if you're any kind of DC fan, any kind of Bat fan, any kind of superhero fan, Nightwing is a really, really fun book. It's I'll just leave it at that. Pick up number 78 and check it out for yourself. Staying in the DC realm, obviously Francie's not here today. She's working hard at her other gig. So I'm going to speak for her with a couple of examples. This one and one I'll get to a little later. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Why am I talking about this, and would this be one of Francie's picks? Tom King. It's written by Tom King. You know we love some Tom King around here. If you're not reading Batman Catwoman, you're missing out on one of the best comics out there. If you're not reading Strange Adventures, you're missing out on one of the best comics out there. If you didn't read Mr. Miracle last year or 2 years ago, you missed one of the best books of the year. Tom King's awesome. And he's had a bit of controversy in his career, and people are a little hot and cold to him about this or that. But I think he's a great comic writer, and it's a lot of fun. He's one of Francie's favorite writers working right now. So she picked up a Supergirl book, despite the fact that she would almost never pick up a super book, except it's written by Tom King. So, of course, you know why I'm talking it up, because I'm the reverse. I buy every super book. And so in the absence of an ongoing Supergirl title, it's great to see a Supergirl book out there. Always great to see something from Tom King. I kind of like miniseries. It's a little non-committal. And like I say, it's just great to see Supergirl doing something. Let's see. Little bit of the art going on in this one. Super cool. I've been saying it's a really good time to check out lots of things from DC. They've got new creative teams on their classic books. They've got all kinds of new books to check out, like Robin or Teen Titans Academy. We got a lot of minis rolling out right now. All of it's fairly non-committal. None of it is connecting to each other. So like I say, you can sort of pick up books at random, see if you like it. If you like it, keep reading it. And that's always the gist of comics. My last DC, and speaking of super books, Superman Red and Blue. Love it. Love these sort of stylized books with they should have called it Red, White, and Blue, I guess, because let's be honest, it is red, white, and blue. But like I say, kind of stylized art, sort of an anthology thing. Mark Waid's in this one. To be 200% honest, I'm just showing you this one for the Walt Simonson cover. Love me some Walt Simonson. If you're 100 years old like me, you love Walt Simonson. There are very, very, very few people in comics that get onto a list with the likes of Jack Kirby. Two of the only names I can think of are Walt Simonson and John Buscema. John Buscema was the guy who took over for Jack with Fantastic Four. Walt Simonson is the other artist that they name. I guess Buscema's on that list too. When you talk about Thor, there are just a couple all-time great runs of Thor. Jack Kirby has one. Walt Simonson has one. And he's the reason you know Beta Ray Bill and all that kind of thing. So anyway, like I say, never miss an opportunity to show everybody the great glory of the legendary Walt Simonson. If you don't know much about Walt, Google him. Do yourself a favor and as fast as you can, pick up Thor 337, the first appearance of 339, whatever's the first appearance of Beta Ray Bill. And then go check out anything Walt Simonson ever did. Manhunter, on and on and on and on and on it goes. One of the unique talents of comics. So great time to be a super fan. Pick up a couple super books this week and be on the lookout for Action and Superman next week. You know I'm a big super guy. Again, want to know what you're reading. Want to know what's on the top of your stack this week. While I move on to this guy, I always say I have a lot of favorites. If you ever watch any of my videos, I'm always like, this is my favorite this, it's my favorite that. But FF kind of tops that list. Always been a huge Fantastic Four fan. And this run has been just a ton of fun. I want to make sure I get the names right. Dan Slott is writing Fantastic Four right now. And it's a ton of fun. This is part 2 of The Bride of Doom. The Bride of Doom. Dr. Doom's getting married, and he invited his greatest arch enemies to the wedding. And his biggest enemy is his best man. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that so Marvel? Yes. Aggressively Relaxing is commenting that, hey, my favorite is FF2. The Slott run is incredible. And yes, I agree. And I'm glad you agree. And thanks for joining us. It's just been a ton of fun. And I've been saying for a little while, last week it was Amazing Spider-Man and Iron Man. This week it's Fantastic Four and maybe a couple others. Marvel is really in this fantastic, sorry, no pun intended, back to basics kind of thing that's a little bit classic and a little bit modern, a little bit brand new. They've been giving us classic villains, new villains, classic side characters, new side characters in just about all of their books. It's the feel of that title that you've always known and loved. Spider-Man feels like Spider-Man. Iron Man feels like Iron Man. Fantastic Four feels like Fantastic Four. But they're new stories and new exciting things going on. Like Dr. Doom getting married. Who would marry Doom? Why would Doom get married? You got to read it and find out. And I got to the last page and I just absolutely loved it. Like I say, Fantastic Four has always been a fairly unique title. It's Lost in Space. It's a little bit family fun, but it's a little bit science fiction. It's a little bit action adventure. Like I say, it's just sort of different from your other team books, certainly different from your individual books. This is number 33. Pick up number 32 for part 1 if you aren't currently following FF, and you will fall in love with this book like I did way back in, 1974. You can read more about it in the newsletter. Like I say, I'm always talking up FF. And I've been talking up Dan Slott. He's just a whole lot of fun. So again, thanks for commenting. Aggressively Relaxing. I'm glad you agree with me because FF's just a ton of fun. And speaking of fun, moving on to another one of my all-time favorites. I talk up Captain America. This is Captain America Annual. I don't know why they bother numbering them. This is Annual number 1, even though there have been dozens and dozens of annuals over the years. They should just call it Annual 2021 or something. But anyway, getting back to FF, Aggressively Relaxed says that last issue where Doom and Reed played chess. Slot's great. It's so true, and that's such a great example. You know, who doesn't want to watch reading Doom playing chess? I mean, anyway, it's a great book. Check it out and enjoy it. So Captain America Annual. As I said in this week's Wednesday video, you guys sometimes pass on the annuals, and I strongly encourage you to grab those books. Annuals are a ton of fun for a couple of different reasons. One, they're almost always individualized, self-contained. You just got to pick it up, read it, love it, great. If you like Captain America, you pick up the annual. Like if you like Iron Man, you grab last week's Iron Man annual. You read one double-sized comic, you enjoy it, you get back to your life. If you are not following the main book, it gives you a chance to check out that character without committing to the ongoing title, without jumping in on part 6 of 12. You can just pick up the annual, read a cool story about a character that you like, and get back to it. Or maybe you read it and you're like, hey, this is really cool. I need more Captain America in my life. And then you start reading the main title. The main title is really good, but it's kind of wrapping up the arc right now, so it's not the best time to jump in. But if you grabbed Iron Man's annual last week and you love that, the Iron Man series is just on fire right now, and it's a great time to jump in for new readers. So try these annuals. If you need an excuse, I myself have never passed up on any book that has Captain America and Black Widow. Long before Captain America 2 or any of this MCU stuff, they're just two great characters that work really well together. Jim Lee knew it. That's why he put them together in the X-Men. Like I say, it's just always fun to see these two characters working together. They're not exactly polar opposites, but they are very different characters who have very similar goals. And so anyway, if you needed an excuse to pick up a book with Captain America, this one has Black Widow in it. So that's tons of fun. Captain America Annual. And there's backup stories, Infinite Fury. So if you pick up all of the annuals running right now, then you also get a cool bonus story. And I like to say, just to round that out, summertime has always been a great time for annuals. Comics have always kicked the annuals out in the summer. More and more recently, you kind of see annuals anytime throughout the year that they have a hole in the shipping schedule. But it used to be they'd kick out all the annuals in the summertime because kids were out of school and they needed more comics to read. That's where I came into it, and that's why I've been a big fan of annuals ever since, going all the way back to Atlantis Attacks or anything you want to talk about. Well, I've got it in my hand. If you want to look up a classic, Captain America Annual number 5 from 1981, one of the best Captain America stories you'll ever read. I'll leave that mystery with you, and you can Google it and check it out. While I move on to my last Marvel book, which is Star Wars, with my man Lando there on the cover. You know, I talk up a Star Wars book every single week. I've been pitching you guys Star Wars for the longest time. Right now, we got War of the Bounty Hunters going on. I don't really want to call it a crossover, but it's an event that's going on through all the different Star Wars books. If you're any kind of Star Wars fan, you need a Star Wars book on your list. If you're any kind of science fiction fan, you need a Star Wars book on your list. If you're any kind of comic book fan, you need a Star Wars book on your list. They're all, much like I say about the X-Men, they're all a little different, all got different creative teams, different characters, different plots, all that kind of stuff. So check them all out, or just go through them and find the one that you like. You will find one you like. This is, of course, is the main Star Wars book. It's awesome. Great stories, great art. This is the second volume. The other one ran from filling in the space between New Hope and Empire. Now we're filling in the space between Empire and Jedi. Let's show you something cool. There's Lando and Chewie and the Falcon. Everybody loves Lando and Chewie and the Falcon. Star Wars is a great book. Darth Vader is a great book. Dr. Aphra is a great book. Bounty Hunters is a great book. There's the High Republic is a great book. There's really not a dud. Like I say, great stories, great art. If you love Star Wars like I do, like I say, even if you just like science fiction, just like comics, it's a good time. And War of the Bounty Hunters, great time to jump in. There's 2 issues from the main War of the Bounty Hunters book, which of course focuses on Boba Fett. But again, you can check out all the different books. They've all got their own flavor. Good stuff. So those are most of my mainstream picks. Got a couple others looking at the books behind me that I haven't necessarily checked out, but I know you guys are going to want to check out that one. This is Donny Cates, right? Yep, this is Donny Cates' last issue of Venom. Number 200 is the legacy number. Number 35 is the regular number. It's been a great run. Not going to get too much into it because, again, it's the last issue. But a little bit like annuals. I know it's unusual, but I've done it many, many times. I like last issues. I don't read Venom, but I'll check this one out. I like to see how they wrap up series. I don't have to have read the previous 199. I don't necessarily even need to know what the arc was about. I just like to see how they end titles. Is it going to wrap it all up? Are they going to leave it on a cliffhanger? Are they going to set you up for another series? So if you're not following Venom, pick it up. It's a big old chunky. Yes, it's $10. Hey, Marvel. Hey, DC. Don't do $10 single issues, man. $5.99, $4.99, $5.99 is plenty enough. You can maybe get us for $6.99 with those double-sized guys. Nobody wants a $10 comic, man. I love the book, but no offense, guys. That's graphic novel prices. Though, to be honest, that is kind of heavy enough to be a graphic novel. Anyway, those are my Marvel and DC books for the week. As I say, want to know what your Marvel and DC books are. What are you reading? What are you looking forward to reading? If you're catching this later, if you're not watching it live, go ahead and put those titles in the comments, and I'll get back to you. Put your questions and whatever in the comments, and I'll get back to you when I'm not live. So moving on to the independent section. This is, I mentioned earlier that I would have another one of Francie's books to show you, and that's this one, Norse Mythology, Volume 2, Number 1. Because up there it says Neil Gaiman. Neil Gaiman. You're already buying everything that says Neil Gaiman on it because you're an intelligent human being. If you're not buying everything that says Neil Gaiman on it, you're missing out on some awesomeness, and you need to do a little homework and get cracking. He doesn't actually write this. Norse Mythology was a book that he wrote, and the comics are sort of based on those novels. But he's involved, and the stories have been really great. The art has been really, really great. If you know the name P. Craig Russell, you're already buying and reading this book. If you don't know the name P. Craig Russell, again, got a lot of homework to do and some great, great books to check out. You don't need to have read Norse Mythology Volume 1 to get into this one. Like a lot of books, I always say just pick up the new issue and get going. If you love it, check out the previous stuff. Pick up the next stuff. If you don't love it, drop it and pick up something else. But Norse mythology is a lot of fun. And what I like about this stuff is what I've always loved about mythology and things is it's sort of the original comics, right? The original superheroes. It's this comic is nothing like the other comics on the stands because that's all, sci-fi, horror, action, adventure, all this kind of stuff. But in a sense, it's exactly like all that stuff because it's heroes and villains and great stories. Everybody should have a Dark Horse book on their list. I like to show Norse mythology because it's something that's not a licensed property kind of thing. Dark Horse has almost always done licensed property stuff, and they've done it incredibly well. But they do lots of other stuff too. And so, like I say, like to show anything from Neil Gaiman, like to show whatever my Dark Horse book is in the week. So folks are motivated to pick up a Dark Horse book or go to darkhorsecomics.com. Because like I say, everybody should have a Dark Horse book on their list. Every publisher, with a couple of exceptions, will have a book you like. Every publisher has a great book, does a great book that you would like to read if you knew about that book. So I always encourage folks to kind of break out of their groove and try something new, which brings me to the Image Comics part of the show, where I will repeat few of the things I just said. Everybody should have an Image book on their list. Geiger, Noctera, Department of Truth. I could rattle off a bunch of newer Image books that everybody should be reading. There's all the classic Image books everybody should be reading. Spawn Universe. Spawn's about to explode into a whole other thing next week. But there's books, Ice Cream Man, on and on I could go. And one of them is this week's Jupiter's Legacy Requiem. I bring this up because here in the comic book crowd, you're not necessarily swayed. You already heard of Jupiter's Legacy before there was a Netflix thing. You'd already heard of Mark Millar and knew a lot of Mark Millar books before the whole Netflix thing. This is probably the third or fourth Jupiter's Legacy book that they've done. And so when you heard that they canceled the show, it wasn't going to really affect your take on it because you already know and like Mark Millar stuff. Check out some Jupiter's Legacy. Pick up the trades for some of the other things that you may have missed, or just grab this latest issue. Mark Millar does his own take on tropes, I guess is the easiest way to say it. And Jupiter's Legacy is obviously a little bit Superman, a little bit Superman family, done with the dark twists that Mark Millar likes to give to things. As I say, everybody should have an Image book on their list, and this one is a good place to start. So some of that cool, there's a cool non-spoiler sort of art sampling. Like I say, there's tons and tons of great Image books out there. Two things I'm always saying. Grab a first issue, like this one, of any Image book that's out that week. You got a couple extra bucks in your pocket, got a little bit of time in your reading schedule, grab that first issue, got to have it Image book of the week. Because next week when you try and find it, it will be sold out and gone to reprint. And obviously you're not going to like every single thing, but some of them you're going to really love. And they do lots of books that the other publishers, they do things with comics that the other publishers just don't do. Undiscovered Country is out next week. That's another one. So I always say, grab those Image first issues. The other thing I always say is whatever Marvel or DC book that you're loving right now, that creative team, or at least that writer or that artist has an Image book. Tinian, whoever you want to talk about, Jeff Johns, whoever you want to talk about. If you're liking their Marvel or DC book, you should go to the other side of the river and pick up their Image title, again, like Undiscovered Country or Geiger or Noctera or one of these things, because it's awesome, and you just don't see that kind of material from a lot of the other guys. So that's my picks of the week. Those are my hot books. Again, while I start to wrap this up, throw out there your titles for the week, what you read last week, what you're looking forward to this week. So the idea, we get new books every Wednesday. You can find me here on your Facebooks and on your YouTubes, 9 a.m. every Wednesday, showing you what's out that week. About an hour later, it all shows up on the website, black-cat-comics.com. You pick up your books on Wednesday, either curbside or in-store or through the good old US of A post office. You read them during the week, you tune in on Saturday, and we talk about them because it's Comic Shop Talk Live, the show about this week's comics. Want to remind you, next week is the last Friday of the month, and that's time for Kazi's Classics, when I take you back to the past. This is a show about new books. Kazi's Classics is about the books behind me, all of the vintage comics from eras gone by. We do that next Friday, the last Friday of every month, 6 p.m. Got some great books this week, so make sure you tune in and check that out. And, of course, we'll be back the next day for another issue of another episode of Comic Shop Talk Live. The show's great. Just finished Planet Size X-Men. It was awesome. Yes. Planet Size X-Men. Thank you for mentioning that with my last minute. Let me chime in with another spiel I say all the time. Find an X-Men book that's right for you. Pick up Planet Size. Pick up X-Men, X-Force, New Mutants, Marauders, whatever the X book is next week. If you're not following an X title, grab an X book, because tons of great talent working on those books right now. And it's really different from anything X-Men you've read before. And I sincerely mean that. Again, as I said at the top, like a lot of what Marvel's doing, it's 50% totally classic, totally has that feel of the X-Men that you've always known and loved. There's drama and there's action and there's all those things. But it's also 50% brand new characters, new villains, new angle, new stuff you've never seen before, all kind of in a perfect sort of mix. So thanks for mentioning that aggressively. Loving some X books right now. So like I say, tune in Wednesday, check out the video, go to the website, pick up your books, schedule an in-store, schedule a curbside, get them shipped out to you. read your books. Tune in on Friday, 6 p.m. while we talk about Cosby's classics. Then tune back in on Saturday, 2 o'clock for some more Comic Shop Talk Live. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Hope you had as much fun as I did. We'll see you next week in a brand new show.